So stay with me on this one because things might get a little bit confusing. Now, as you'll know if you're a Samsung fan, last year we saw the launch of the Galaxy S10 flagship phones. They were the Billy Big Box, all the bells and whistles, proper premium handsets with all of the great tech. Now, of course, they were succeeded this year by the Galaxy S20 series, but shortly before that launch, Samsung also sneaked out the Galaxy S10 Lite. It's basically a cheaper version of the original Galaxy S10 with cutback specs and features. The only confusing part being that we already had this last year with the Galaxy S10e, which was a more affordable version of the Galaxy S10 with cutback specs and features. And like the S10e from last year, the Galaxy S10 Lite still isn't exactly affordable. You can grab it right now from Vodafone here in the UK for £38 a month. Otherwise, if you want to bag it SIM-free, it's 568 quid. And it's available right now, so what we're going to do, give it a full unboxing, check out the hardware, the software, so you know exactly what to expect if you decide to stamp up for your very own S10 Lite. And for more on the latest greatest tech, please do subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers. Right, and every bloody time, Samsung, you always get stuff stuck in the lid. It's really annoying. There we go. So a bit of pokey-pin device action, of course, and then just the usual boring warranty information, quick start guide, yada yada. There is the Galaxy S10 Lite. You also get, of course, a bit 3-pin plug action, lovely stuff. Got one Type-C USB cable. No prizes for guessing what is in here. Got a bit of wired headphone action as well, and it's Type-C headphones because you don't have a headphone jack here on the Galaxy S10 Lite. And you do get a selection of rubbery tips that you can slap on there to fit your own particular lug holes. So first impressions upon yanking the S10 Lite out of its box is it retains some of that design language from last year's S10, but they've actually made a few little design changes, little tweaks here and there to complement some of the newer phones that they've launched in 2020. So this white model of the Galaxy S10 Lite definitely retains that sort of almost pearl-like shiny finish of the white S10 from last year. As you can see there, when it catches the light, it just kind of pukes out this lovely rainbow of colours as well, lovely stuff. And you've still got the metallic edging to break up the glass around the front and the back as well. And whereas the S10 series smartphones had that weird sort of horizontal bar for the camera lenses, as you can see, you've now got a proper sort of rectangular housing wedged in the corner, similar to the S20 series smartphones and the likes of the Huawei P40s. Definitely a proper big old beast, so that doesn't actually jut too far from the surface, which is good. And you can grab yourself a Galaxy S10 Lite in 3 different hues. You've got Prism White, and you've also got Prism Black and Prism Blue. Prism, of course, referring to the colour puking. So yeah, hope you like prisms. It's all very prismy up in here. And the S10 Lite is definitely a handful as well. It's quite amusing actually when you think about the original Galaxy S10 series. The S10 was, I believe, 6.1 inches. The S10 Plus was 6.4 inches. And yet the S10 Lite is 6.7 inches. It's an absolute beast. It shouldn't be called the S10 Lite. It should be called the S10 Godzilla. But of course, that's just the kind of crazy trends that we are seeing in the mobile market. They're just getting bigger and bigger. So maybe next year we'll be clutching 7-inch beasts, trying to fit that in your pocket. Good luck. But the S10 Lite does actually feel reasonably lightweight despite that size, which is great to see. There's no form of IP rating. You don't get any proper full-on dedicated dust and water resistance, unlike the standard S10. So that's a bit of a shame. If that's going to be a deal breaker, you can pick up the likes of the OnePlus 8, which does offer full IP 68 water and dust resistance at the similar sort of price point. And alrighty, so the Galaxy S10 Lite is all set up and ready for action. I just copied over basically a backup from a previous smartphone. So we've got all my apps on there now, and now let's take a full-on tour. So first up, what you get on here, no surprise, is the latest Android 10, and you got a fresh bit of Samsung's One UI 2.1 slapped on top as well. So just to give it that unique Samsung look and feel, good bit of Bigsby action, of course, all of that shenanigans. And when the Galaxy S20 smartphones came out, I actually did a full tour of the Samsung One UI version 2 in my tips and tricks guide, so definitely go check that out if you want an in-depth look at that software, all of the best features. But basically it offers some neat customization options in there. Got all the usual themes and everything. You've got an always on display, so you can see if you've got any notifications and stuff waiting for you when necessary. Diving on here, you've got the Bigsby routines, which is basically an if this then that style effort. Definitely well worth checking out if you want to automate your smartphone. Lots of gesture support, of course, and you do actually have full gesture navigation and all those other great Android bits like the dark mode. And on this wee beastie, something that will come in really handy is, of course, that one-handed mode. Definitely help to shrink everything down and make it a bit more manageable. You can just about reach up to that notifications bar like that. As usual, you've got Samsung's excellent Knox security features on there as well. So if you value your privacy and security, then definitely Samsung Blows are one of the better ones out there that you can grab. You've got full-on face recognition as well, using that front-facing camera, and a good bit of, as you can see there, in-display fingerprint sensor as well. So none of that edge-mounted stuff that you got on the S10e, which was slightly awkwardly positioned and just a bit naff to use. It's not an ultrasonic scanner like you got on the S10, however, it is actually an optical scanner, as you can see there, but the fact that it's actually broadcasting light up out of the screen in order to illuminate your fingerprint. Now you can always count on Samsung to produce a quality screen, especially on its more premium smartphones, and here you get a 6.7-inch Super AMOLED Plus display. And like the S10e, that doesn't actually curve around the edges either, so you get a perfectly flat finish. It's a 2400 by 1080 pixel resolution, full HD, so of course, as you can expect, those visuals are nice and crisp despite the fact it is a nice and spacious 6.7-incher. And of course, one difference you'll notice with the standard Galaxy S10 series smartphones is the fact that the pinhole selfie cam is actually right there in the center, just like it is on quite a few of the 2020 handsets. Thankfully, it's very dinky indeed, so it doesn't really intrude too much even when you go full screen. And if you dive on into the display options on the Galaxy S10 Lite, see Samsung's put plenty of stuff in there. You can play around with the usual blue light filters and the rest. The screen mode, you can change it from vivid to more natural hues, as you can mess around, as you can see there, with the white balance. You can even fine tune the RGB if you really want to. As for the audio, it's just a single bottom fire-in speaker here on the Galaxy S10 Lite. Let's just test it out, see what it's like. Now, used it as my personal handset, so here's my full in-depth Motorola Edge review. And for more of the latest greatest tech, please do subscribe and ding that notifications bell. So not too bad. It's certainly loud on that top volume. It certainly sounds very tinny. And of course, you don't have a headphone jack, unfortunately, but you do at least get those bundled Type-C headphones in the box, and you got full Bluetooth 5 support as well. And you get full support for HDR10 plus video content as well on the likes of Netflix, so you get that nice sharp contrast and those really nice natural looking colors too. And the great relief with Samsung's Galaxy S10 Lite as well is it doesn't rock one of Samsung's own Exynos chipsets. What you actually get packed inside this bad boy is the Snapdragon 855 from Qualcomm. So that was the big flagship chipset you found in all of the major premium smartphones from last year, and it still does the job very nicely. As you can see there, great Geekbench scores. So it's nice smooth performance no matter what you're up to. As you can see there, your apps just load up instantly, nice and simple. And of course, the latest games like PubG Mobile and all the rest should run absolutely fine, no worries at all. Helped along by the game launcher tool here on the Galaxy S10 Lite, which basically just helps to give you a bit of a performance boost. Not forgetting, of course, that flat screen finish as well, which is better suited to gaming on the go. And here's what the battery life is really good here on the S10 Lite as well. The 855 chipset is quite energy efficient, certainly again compared with those Exynos platforms, that's for sure. So fingers crossed you should be able to get plenty of gaming action out of one of these things. And with the 4500 milliamp cell on board, you should get all day battery life no matter what you're up to, as well, as long as you're not absolutely hammering it with, you know, likes of Skype, the camera, that sort of stuff. You got the usual battery saver modes and everything like that on board as well, just in case. And the Samsung Galaxy S10 Lite is actually pretty nippy when it comes to the recharging too. Supports 45 watt super fast charging, although there is no wireless charging support. And before I forget, on the storage front, you've got 128 gigs on there. Good chunk of that has been used, of course, by Samsung's apps and the rest, but you've still got plenty of space for your media, whatever else you want to download. And it does support micro SD memory cards of up to 1 terabyte in size as well, so you're basically set. And now let's just finish up this unboxing with a quick look at the camera tech here on the S10 Lite as well. And what you get here is a 48 megapixel primary lens backed by a 12 megapixel ultra wide angle and a 5 megapixel macro lens. So you don't actually get a telephoto lens at all on that rear camera setup here on the S10 Lite, which is kind of surprising. You do have it on a lot of rivals like the OnePlus 8 again, and so on and so on. But what you do get is that ultra wide angle lens to pull out for a very different kind of viewpoint when needed. As you can see there, you've got Samsung's scene recognition mode as well, or scene optimizer as they like to term it, which you can turn on or off with a quick tap there. You've got all the variety of toggles, the usual timers, flashes, etc, etc. And then of course there are the many different modes that you've got on the go. So for instance, you've got a good bit of live focus action, so you can snap away and get a nice bit of bokeh action in the background. You can also do that with video as well, where it'll stay trained on your subject, keep them nice and sharp while also again blurring out the background. Otherwise, if you don't fancy that, you've got your standard video mode. As you can see, you can shoot in with the primary lens or with that ultra wide angle lens. If you dive in the settings, you should be able to shoot to 4K resolution video too. Yeah, there you go, all the way up to Ultra HD. And Samsung's usual super steady mode is back in action here on the S10 Lite as well. Quite handy if you're going to be running, jogging, cycling or whatever and shooting video at the same time. And of course, that's far from it as far as the board's camera modes go, because you've got a load more stuff to wait in the more section, of course, including full pro controls if you just want to mess around with the white balance. The ISO levels a bit more restricted compared with some manual modes, but it's there if you want it. You've got food mode if you want to take a picture of your chicken tenders before you shove them in your face. Got the night mode as well, of course, for those super low light shots. Just helps to brighten them up a bit, make them look a little bit crisper. And a macro mode to make use of that 5 megapixel macro lens, which I still don't get the point in any of that. I really don't. And last up, if we flick around to that front facing selfie camera, you got 32 megapixel f. It housed right there in the center, of course, as we discussed before. As you can see, you can go for a more pulled out view or the standard view, depending on what you're trying to shoot, and hopefully it should prove perfectly respectable for your selfies. You do, of course, once again, have a bit of live focus action if you want to blur the background. And wow, that came out really well. Definitely don't take a selfie while talking at the same time. So that right there, in a nutshell, is Samsung's Galaxy S10 Lite. As I say, available right now from the likes of Vodafone from £38 per month, otherwise SIM-free for around that sort of £550 to £600 mark. So as you can see, obviously, the likes of the OnePlus 8, Realme's X50 Pro 5G, stuff like that, are going to be pretty tough competition overall for the Galaxy S10 Lite. Such as the OnePlus has that gorgeous 90Hz display, you've got the pretty decent camera tech with that telephoto lens around back as well, for water resistance, so it seems like it offers better value for money. Of course, if you're already sold on the general Samsung experience, then it could be a viable option if you can't afford those S20 flagships. But don't forget, this original S10 and S10 Plus will be available on discount right now, so definitely check out, see if you can get a good deal on one of those. And of course, you've got the A series smartphones as well, like the A51, the A71 as well, which are a bit more affordable. It would be great to hear your thoughts down below. Stay tuned, I'm hoping to do a full review in about sort of a week's time or so. Please do subscribe, ding that notifications bell, and have yourselves a lovely week, people. Cheers.